Hey,
Hey,
I'm April. This is Tommy.
just
Just
a little T
an A.
and we got a little G today too. This is our boy Gabe. So
As
he's
a special
helping.
guest.
Yeah. So I learned something this week.
Yeah, what was that?
I learned how depressing this thing can be.
Oh,
Like when you go on to Insights on your Instagram or YouTube video or whatever, it'll tell you what the average watch time was, and it was like 45 seconds. So I was like, "Oh, cool! We're worth 45 seconds of attention." So I mean,
honestly, that's about as long as my attention span is.
yeah. So I'm like, "Oh, well, if you don't say something interesting in the first 30 seconds, it's like gone." Yeah, and I'm totally down with that. So I thought something cool to talk about today, like to start to just an icebreaker would be like what our first jobs were. Just
Oh,
because,
really?
yeah, I thought that might be interesting. Just a good lead in.
I haven't thought about my first job in years.
Have you not?
Mm-mm.
Mm.
Okay, what was your first job?
So I actually, so my first two jobs kind of went together.
Yeah.
Um, around the same time. So when I was young, 16, I started, and my dad started a machine shop, and so I started working for him, and I was making $8 an hour. I remember, and I thought
That's actually a lot of
it
money.
was a lot of money. I think he overpaid me probably for what I was doing, but yeah, back then and many years ago, it was $8 an hour, and I thought I have made it, and so I started sweeping the floor, um, just grunt stuff, anything that taking out the garbage, sweeping the floors, wiping down the machines, anything. And I was 16, so if he needed like, hey, go get me tool from down the street, then I would go do that, and it's simple work.
Yeah.
But I also one of my actually my first job outside of working for family was there's a restaurant here in Memphis called Corky's Barbecue, and it's world famous barbecue restaurant. And yeah, it's delicious.
So,
Yeah.
how much did you gain?
A lot. But by the end of first things first, by the end of that job, you couldn't feed me barbecue. No way. Like I worked there for 6 months,
Sure.
and I was like, I'm not eating it. I didn't eat barbecue again for like 5 years after I left there, and I love barbecue, so it was a difficult, yeah. But so I worked there, and that was a cool job because I still made that $8 an hour, but then I was what they call an expo, and so when
Did you get tip out?
I did,
Oh, nice.
I did. So
I bet you felt like you were rolling in the dough.
yeah, so Corky's was back then. It's fallen off a little bit, but back then it was on the opening night. Isaac Hayes was there. Like celebrities, they had like a grand opening with red carpet and
Oh, wow.
the whole 9 yards. And so all these Memphis celebrities came because it was a famous Memphis restaurant. So I worked there, and so we had 6 or 7 servers. Well, what they would do is back in the back, they'd have the plate, and it would have the grill master, because that was his name. He was the grill master. You referred to him as such.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and so the grill master they'd have a window, and where it would just be like a shelf, and he would get the ribs and whatever hot sides would go on the plate, and he would put them in the window. The expo was responsible for if there was a roll with the order, put a roll. If there was like coleslaw with the order, put whatever it was. Anything cold or little thing extra, cheese on a baked potato or something, we were responsible for. And also, if the servers were backed up, then we had to run things to the tables for the servers. So we were their assistants. That's how busy it was. And so it was a great job because at the end of the night, those servers had to tip me out of their tips for the night. So I would make my $8 an hour, but then I would make 15% of every server's tips,
Nice.
which is cool.
Yeah.
And so it was a great job, but I messed it up. Yeah. So when one of the things that they would do is it was so busy that they would shove all these plates in this window, and the grill master he was not playing, so he would just keep sorry, asked for something. He would just keep shoving things into the window, and if you didn't have the window cleaned out, he would keep shoving until they fell into the floor.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's aggressive.
He was
That's not
aggressive.
necessarily
I
aggressive.
thought so too. So it was a constant stress of being fast enough because you might have to run plates, but being fast enough to get everything out of his window so that when he went to shoving, he had room to keep shoving before he shoved anything off in the floor. And so I had a particular order that had ribs on it. So this is a barbecue restaurant. And ribs were like notorious for taking forever to make, and because they're smoked for hours. And so he was in his regular mood, shoving everything in the window, and the server hadn't showed up. So I needed to deliver these ribs. So I put everything on my shoulder. I go to walk out the door out to the restaurant, and there's a guy coming in as he's coming in the wrong door. He's coming in where you're only supposed to exit. And so I've got my tray, and when he comes in the door, I don't expect him, so he hits my tray, and one of the ribs falls on the floor. So shamedly,
Oh no.
I've asked for
No,
forgiveness.
no, you didn't.
Yes,
No, you
I've asked for forgiveness for this so many times. But I knew that if I took those ribs back, the grill master was going to be so mad at me because I had ruined
I'm so sorry,
hours of
Grill Master,
work.
sir.
Yeah, no, right. I ruined hours of work, and then I've given him now I've backed everything else up,
Oh.
and so I was just like, whoop, and I scooped them and put them on. And I am so
Did
ashamed.
anyone see you do that?
Yes.
Oh no.
So another server, the guy that
So
was
the guy that hit
the
you.
guy that hit me when he was coming in the door, he said he didn't say anything, and I just kind of put him on the plate and went out there, and I'm so sorry whoever that was, and I served it, and at the end of the night, the manager pulled me to the side and he said, "Hey, something happened tonight that you want to tell me about?" And I was like,
Nope.
"No,
Nope.
no," and he said, "Oh, okay, so you didn't drop a rack of ribs on my kitchen floor and then put it on the," and I was like, "Yes, sir." I said, "Yes, sir, I did that." And he said, "All right, well, tonight was your last night, and I appreciate you working for us, but I can't keep you with something like that." And so, deservedly so. Like I said, I have apologized. I'm so sorry to whoever that was, but yeah, I hope nothing like that. I've never done anything like that since. As far as I never worked in a restaurant again either. I was like, man, that's too stressful.
Safe.
Yeah,
Really
your food is safe. So at least from me, your food is safe. So, what about you? What was your first show?
Oh, I was a lifeguard at the YMCA.
Oh, the hot lifeguard.
No, I was not the hot lifeguard at all.
So you morphed into being hot.
No, well, no. No, it was not the hot lifeguard. So I didn't have my first job till after I turned 18 because I'm spoiled. My dad was very adamant he didn't want his daughters having to do adult things until we were actually adults. But as many of y'all know, my oldest son is 24. I had him right before I turned 18. So I went on my interview for this job 2 weeks before I was scheduled to give birth.
To a lifeguard interview?
Yes, I did.
Okay. How'd that go?
Really good. They were really nice to me. They
They
hired me.
hired you.
Yeah.
Did they say come back after you spit out that child?
They were like, so we were looking at when you could start. Do you think you could start this date? And I'm like, well, I'll be in the hospital that day having my son. But what about 2 weeks after?
So literally, you.
Yeah, as soon as I had him, I went to work.
Wow.
As a lifeguard. So no, I was not the lifeguard.
You were the recently pregnant lifeguard.
Yeah.
So, how long did you keep that job?
Oh, for that summer.
Oh, had a good tan then.
Yeah. Oh no, it was a horrible tan. Lifeguard tans are the worst tan.
That's true.
Because you're sitting there and it's like the top of your thighs, the tops of your shoulders, and your forearms get very tan.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
No.
Nothing
And you're
else.
under that umbrella.
Yeah. Well, you could put the umbrella out if you wanted to.
Was it a red bathing suit like Baywatch?
Yes.
I think that's standard lifeguard.
Yeah, I think so. It was red. Um, the worst part about that job, though, for me, really, was that I was stressed out the entire time. I
That
was
makes
sitting there.
sense.
I would sit there stressing out that someone was going to get hurt and I was going to have to help them and I was going to forget how to. So I would sit there in my head and like re-go over all my CPR stuff, first aid training. Like I was stressed out every time I worked.
Yeah. Sounds
Like
like
so, I'm
those
like
jobs are
after
very stressful.
it's like after that, I'm like I don't want people's lives in my hands anymore.
Yeah. And your first job is your most stressful job.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, so on to some bodybuilding stuff, and we just wrote down a couple of topics, and I think that one of the if we get questions, because we do a good bit of traveling, either through my work in sales, show season, just family vacations, different
Visiting my family.
visiting your family in Birmingham, which is 3 hours away. So how do we get that a lot? How do we stay on track when we travel?
Yeah, I feel like we've got a good system down for it.
We do. So one of the things, and being in sales throughout the week, I am on the road every single day. And so one of the things that we do is Sunday or Saturday, one or the other, is usually a meal prep day for us for a decent amount.
To be honest, it's just whatever day we've ran out of whatever particular.
Yeah, true.
Because we don't really have a specific
We don't have
day.
a specific day. It's just
I mean,
usually
most people do Saturday or Sunday.
right.
But we're just like, whenever we run out of chicken, oh, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and cook a batch of chicken.
Right.
Or whenever we run out of beef, let's go ahead and cook the batch of beef or rice.
Yeah. So chicken is easy because chicken is good for, some people may not like it if it's more than a day old. We have come to find that 6 or 7 days is not a problem in the refrigerator at all.
And honestly, it doesn't even make it that long when we make it.
No, but I'm just saying if we made 6 days, it would last 6 days.
Yeah.
So usually we're making it every 4 or 5 days. But we'll make enough that for the week so that when the day comes, if I make chicken on Monday, Thursday, I'm still good. I still have, that chicken.
Yeah, but when we're getting ready to travel,
but when we're getting ready to travel, yeah.
We
So
we go through. The first thing we do is we go through our meals that we need to have for those days. Like how much chicken do I eat each day? How much rice do I eat each day? I eat rice cakes. I don't eat rice, so I'll see how many rice cakes I need for each day. I eat fat-free Greek yogurt too, so I see how much of that I'll need for each day. And fortunately, they also sell the little single-serve cups, so I can go buy those too and use my Greek yogurt in a little single serve.
Yeah. So basically, what I'll do is cut up. Let's say I need 200 grams of chicken for each meal. I'll cut up 200 grams of chicken, put that in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
And then if it has rice with it, throw that rice in the bag.
Yeah.
And then it depends. If we're driving, we bring a cooler. If we're flying,
we freeze it. So we've done this two different ways. We've done like a big batch of chicken or beef, and then measured it out while we were there.
Right.
And recently, we've decided that the easier way to do it is to pre-measure and then pack. So pre-measure all the meat.
Yeah.
Pre-measure all the rice.
Well, it just takes one more step out of that you can do on the front end and get it out of the way.
Yeah, because you're already prepping the food anyways. Just go ahead and weigh out how much you need for each meal. So after we do that, like you said, if we're driving, put it in a cooler. And make sure where you are, if you're staying in a hotel and not an Airbnb, the hotel has a fridge. If it doesn't have a fridge, locate the ice maker so you can keep your cooler cool. If it does have a fridge, make sure the temperature on the fridge is turned down because they turn those up.
Right. they use as much least energy as possible. And so another thing is, we're going to Miami for Miami Pro in a month, and we will scout out and see, make sure that they have a microwave. And it's not always the case.
No.
We have been to plenty of places before where they do not have a microwave.
Yes.
And you have two options at that point. If the hotel rooms themselves do not have microwaves, you have usually two options. One is the whatever the lobby is will have a microwave, and you just have to go, traipse down there every single time and warm up your food. Actually, three options. The second option is to purchase a microwave. We've bought five $50 microwaves.
Maybe, yeah.
So you buy a $50 microwave, and if you fly and
You just
leave it, I mean, that's just the cost of doing business. And if you're driving, you just throw it in. I think we have two garages somewhere around. I mean, two garages, two microwaves somewhere in our garage or somewhere right now that are, we could use. And the other thing is that hot plate is the hot plate with it's basically just you plug it in. It's on Amazon. It's probably $30. You can bring a skillet, and you can warm up pretty much anything there. You can, if you
Except for oatmeal.
except for oatmeal, yeah.
But a nice hack to make oatmeal, if it gets hot enough, is they always have a coffee or tea maker in a hotel room,
Right.
and that puts out hot water. So if you're patient enough, you can use that and let the hot water cook the oats, which might take a while. Last hotel we stayed in, that hot water did not get hot enough to cook those, so you had to take it down. But another option is from Amazon, that little lunchbox that I got. So it's a lunchbox that also keeps your food warm. Well, if you put your oatmeal in there, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, it'll cook your oatmeal, get warm.
Right. So there's several options to warm up your food. Another thing that we do is rather than bring, because we're always on a ton of supplements, vitamin C, fish oil, D3K2, liver, kidney, TEDCO, all that. So what we do is count out the supplements that we need for the day, put them in a plastic bag, and throw them in the luggage. So that means you don't have to bring, 20 pill bottles or a pill organizer or whatever. Everybody's got their own way. This is just our way.
So what would you say would be the biggest, your biggest light bulb moment when it came to figuring out traveling hacks with staying on track?
Yeah.
Like, what would be your thing that you were like, why did I not think of this?
So before I would go into the city, before I figured out this hack, I would go into a city and I'd be like, okay, now I've got to get chicken. Now I've got to find a Whole Foods, and it's sky high. It's crazy prices. So my biggest hack was I would cut up all of my chicken. This is for flights. This is for flights only. I would cut up all of my meats, and I would freeze them. And then the morning of the flight, I would put them, and I would put a towel in my luggage. I would put those frozen meats in that towel, and I would fold that towel over so that it's protected from all of your clothes getting wet. And I would triple bag any meat, triple bag. Because if it leaks, now it's leaked all over your clothes. So you've got to be careful. But triple bag any frozen food, put them in that towel. By the time that I get to where I'm going, if it's, Miami or Charlotte or wherever the case may be, usually the meat has thawed out enough that it's still frozen-ish or cold, and it's not ruined.
Yeah.
So it's like being in a cooler, but it's not a cooler because you'd have to packing an additional cooler is a pain in the tail, and that's its own kind of problem. So that has been my biggest hack, is just freezing the meat so that when I get to where I'm going, it's ready. And then I usually the hotel has a refrigerator, and I put it in the refrigerator. We're all good. If it doesn't, then now I've got like a bathtub. This is
You've done this.
Yeah.
He's done this before. A bathtub. There's a bathtub, and he filled it with
I fill it with ice, and I use the bathtub, and then it's a real pain because every time now you want to take a shower or bath, or I don't take baths, but if you want to take a shower, now you have to clean out your bathtub of all of the ice and all that stuff and take care of, and then redo the ice. But I mean, like desperate times are.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
He's
That's
he's
very
dedicated. I would have been like,
what would you have done? Like,
no idea.
So that's been my like biggest hack as far as that's concerned. You got any hacks like that?
So no, outside of freezing the meat, but I did find something that I want to try, especially for Tokyo. Trying to keep my luggage.
Why are you going to Tokyo?
Oh, I'm going to Masters Olympia.
Oh, that's cool. Qualified for that and everything, huh?
A couple of times actually. But they sell neck pillows that are not like, it's not really a pillow. You can put clothes in there.
Really?
Yes. So
I've never seen them.
yeah, I have it saved in my Amazon cart.
Oh, okay.
But I'm gonna try and like get that and then stuff as much clothing items as I can in there.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I also
on an 18 or a 14, 15-hour flight, but
yes, they will be.
Have
but
steamers.
Like yeah, yeah, they have usually. I don't know about Tokyo. I don't know if Tokyo does irons and steamers out of it, but like maybe my workout clothes for any of the workouts I have to do because it doesn't matter if those are wrinkled.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Buy 2 of those, or we can do that for you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll let your clothes be wrinkled in mine. I'll put your clothes, some more of your clothes in mine. Mine will be.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'll
put all the food in yours.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. It's a good trade.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's pretty much how we travel and stay on track.
Scout out gyms before we.
That's another thing.
The biggest thing that you need to do if you know you've got a trip coming up is just to prepare yourself. Know where the gyms are. Know how much food you're going to need so you can get your food together ahead of time.
Yeah.
And if you do that, traveling and staying on track is so much easier.
It is. It is. So another thing is that we put down to talk about is just how you appreciate the good. One way to appreciate the good is to have gone through bad, I guess. So,
yeah.
Not to talk about that too much because we talked about a little bit about our past and all of that in episode 1 of this podcast, but just kind of touch on that, how going through the bad helps you appreciate the good.
So really, it kind of hit me in the face the other day. It's like whenever someone asks me how I'm doing, regardless of what things are going on that might be frustrating or irritating or like things that can bring you down, like car troubles, bills coming in from everywhere, things not flying in line like you need them to. And even with all that stuff that goes on in our lives, when someone asks me how I'm doing, I was like, I'm great. I am good. And I mean that. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm content. I don't need anything. Like, are there things that are frustrating going on? For sure, but that doesn't even come to mind. And I think the reason why that is because I have been through periods in my life where every day I felt like I was fighting to survive. That not having to feel like that anymore makes every day great, and that can go with that kind of thought process can go across the board with anything. Like, you don't appreciate accomplishing a goal until unless you've failed at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like failing a PR or failing, you go to compete and you place dead last, or you don't place where you expected to or wanted to, and you get that, ego hit or that disappointment. So when you do actually achieve what you have gone out to get, it makes you just appreciate it so much more because you've had to work harder for it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because, for instance, when I started bodybuilding, it was, a bucket list thing, as I said in the first episode. But it eventually became to I want to be a pro. That was the goal. Is the goal. And so, my first national show was a bomb. I finished next to last. I can't remember how many. If there was 10 competitors, I was ninth, and did not bring a good look. Good for me, good for where I had, but it showed me what I needed to improve on. It showed me what I needed to do, and I came back, and that was that 3 years ago that was, I think, something like that.
Your first national show was 2022.
2022, so 3 years, and I came back the next year, and I got second twice. Which, if you know anything, or if you follow bodybuilding, at one of these shows was North Americans, one of these shows was Masters Nationals, and at those particular shows, if you win, if you get first, you get your pro card. If you get second, you get
Nothing.
nice job. Here's your medal, $5 medal, and thanks for coming and spending untold dollars. And that was a real eye opener to me that I didn't at that time. I guess I took it as bad because
It's heartbreaking.
it was heartbreaking. I didn't cry or anything, but at the same time, it was such a letdown, and you come back and everybody means well, and I always appreciate that.
Yeah.
But everybody's like, "Great job," and in your mind, you're like, "Dude, I was one place off." And it would have been better, you're lying to yourself, but it would have been better if it was better when I finished next to last, because at least then I knew I wasn't close.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I don't have to be upset because I got smoked and, I didn't deserve to win.
Yeah.
And this one you play when you're finished second, especially if you finish second twice, your mind goes through like, whoa, what if I would have got more cardio? What if I would have, did I take too many cheat meals in the off season, or did I work hard enough, or did my tan look right? You play all these mind games with yourself.
It's really hard not to.
And so when that day comes, when I do get my pro card, I will appreciate it, because I have been through, not just life stuff, because I've been through plenty of life stuff that's bad, that's helped me to appreciate, where I am now in life. But on the bodybuilding side, I've been through bad where it's just, you're not always, you can run through these local shows and you can mop up and you can win every overall. And then when you show up to a national show, it is like everybody belongs. There's not a person there that is not the best at their gym or the best in their city, or it's the cream of the crop. And so it's a different world, and it's an eye opener. But at the same time, when it finally happens, I've worked for this. And it had to be like that for you, where it was like, I've earned this. I mean, when you got your pro card, there was 20 girls on stage with you, and you won.
Yeah.
And you had lost before.
Yeah.
So it has to be, an eye opener of, hey, I don't know that I don't, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if you would have fully appreciated it the first time you come out there, you win your first show.
So this is how it would have gone for me, because my first show I did mop up. And so then, I went to that first, I did my first show. My second show was a national show.
Yeah.
I still won my class.
Right.
I didn't win the overalls. I didn't get my pro card at that show. So I won my first show, and then my second show was a national show, and I won my class. So I was like, am I accidentally really good at this? And I didn't know that. And so, we went into an off season, and I go into prep for the next season with the expectation of winning. I had an expectation of winning.
Right.
And so when I did so my very first show that next season was a national show. And I did not win. I got third place. And it was a hit to my ego. It was a big hit to my ego.
Right.
And it really knocked me like back to where I like, oh no, these other girls are kick ass too. Like,
Right.
and get a hold of yourself, get back to work, and take what the judges' feedback was, which the feedback from that show was I needed to tighten up some. So grinded it out a little harder on the diet and cardio for a few more weeks. Went to um, Nashville Fit Show, and I won the overall there for 35 and up. And then went to North Americans and got my pro card. So, but with that hit to my ego, I then went into my pro debut season expecting to lose.
Mm-hmm.
I expected to lose everything. I expected to be C of 16 and just be happy to be there and work my butt off so I looked like I belonged on stage with the pros. And so my pro debut season was the most fun season I've ever had. I ran through 4 shows and just had a blast doing it.
How'd you do?
Well, I won my pro debut 40 and up master's class, and I got 11th in open. And
I remember.
it was funny because I didn't know I got 11th until the next morning. And I wake up early because I was going to go do the photo shoot that Gilco gave out to the overall winners from National Fit Show. So I was up early, going to get my makeup and hair done and ready to go. And I look and see that I had gotten 11th, and I was so excited. I started bawling, crying because I expected C of 16 and open. 100% expected that. I was watching. I was right behind Ariana Brothers,
Who is
who
like
just won
first call outs at Olympia?
First call outs at Olympia. Just won Girl Power. Phenomenal. I was right behind her, and I was like, "Yeah, These girls are gonna mop the floor with me, and deservedly so." So when I got 11th, and I saw that I was like this close to top 10, I just started bawling, crying. Well, this man was still asleep.
I was,
and
like
I go, I go to wake him up, and I'm just bawling, Tommy.
I thought.
And then I said,
I thought they took your win away or something. Did they tell you you lost?
Yeah. It's like I got 11, and he goes, "Okay, are you upset or happy?"
I don't know.
No clue because I was just crying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it made that season so enjoyable for me. And
just took the weight of expectations.
Yes. Yeah. The burden of expectation, whether you put it on yourself or other people have put it on you, will suck the joy out of doing some things like.
Yeah, well, and that's just where the comparison is the thief of joy. It's when you're constantly, whether it's in bodybuilding or whether it's in life, or when you're constantly comparing yourself and saying, well, if it's you, I'm not Jennifer Dory, or I'm not or I'm not Ariana Brothers, then you start to lose sight of the fact that okay, they've achieved a little bit more than you in the sport, but like you've achieved so much. Yeah. So why compare yourself to somebody who, be happy in what you're in.
Yeah.
Because where you're in is, I say this all the time is when you walk, if physical, fitness is your thing and you're good at it or whatever, and that is not the most important thing in the world. But I'm just taking that as an example. Mm-hmm. And you walk into a Walmart, nothing against people of Walmart, which,
No, I love that page. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it is funny. But nothing against people of Walmart. But when you walk into a Walmart, you're like a one percenter. just because you've chosen to, and you know, through life or whatever, those people are going through different things, but you've chosen to, you know, I've chosen to take care of, you know, myself in this area, and it's made me, you know, feel good about myself.
Yeah, and you stand out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just think sometimes we get into this deal where it's, you know, we compare ourselves to others. He's got more money, or she's got a nicer smile, or they have better looking kids, more well behaved kids, and you can
No one has better looking or more well behaved kids
no,
than we do.
sorry. But you start to lose track and focus of, you know, what all you do have that is so good in your life.
Yeah.
So I think that's just, you know, we're not great at it. I mean, we compare ourselves to people all the time, and it's not something that I'm proud of, but something I try to do less and less, because it is such a thief of the things that are good in your life.
Yeah.
So,
It is.
so I think you know, we're getting close to wrapping up, but I think one of the things that a lot of people have asked us is what our opinion on the fit model division is. So I had opinions out of the gate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did, and they've altered a little.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you.
Yes.
Okay, did they alter? Have they altered because you've seen the fit model girls, like how they actually look, like
Yeah.
not the first competitions, but like the
Yeah. So for a few reasons, my opinion has altered. One of them is because the lowest tier, I say lowest tier, this is not a slam on you, but it's the lowest tier muscularly
yeah.
in the women's food chain of bodybuilding is
Right.
bikini.
Correct.
And even you guys are like insanely jacked.
Yes, I am. What, like you were saying, like you walk into a Walmart. When I walk into a gym, usually, usually, I am the most jacked girl there.
Usually.
Usually, and
Yeah.
I'm not even like
And you're not a
in the
figure,
body,
you're not
in the
physique, you're not
bodybuilding.
wellness,
Yeah.
you're not body open
In the
body.
bodybuilding world, I'm small, but in the real world, I'm very jacked.
Right.
And so it's like this weird. I love the bikini look. I love the jacked feminine look, personally. But that is very difficult to achieve. And like I've said before, I had been lifting weights 10 years before I ever competed. You, you tell a 24-year-old, oh, you've got 10 years of lifting before you're going to have the muscular development you need to do
To
bikini.
show, yeah.
So
That's one of my things is like when you also people are going to wonder, but he's had an eye graft, and so that's why
they're not going to wonder because he's been snoozing the entire
he has.
time.
But he woke up for a minute and his eyes messed up. So when he was a baby, he had a hole in his eye. It's been fixed.
We have a broken baby.
Yeah,
we take care of it.
That's all right. So one of the things when Fit Model came out that I had a problem with was it seemed to be a division that you had to do less work in. Less, they didn't want them as, you know, they didn't want visible abs. They didn't want the conditioning of bikini. They didn't want the muscularity. And so in my mind, I was like, well, basically, it's a money grab.
Yeah, that's what you thought.
Yeah, it's a money grab for, you know, get these girls in because it's one more division, one more time, one more chance for you to, you know, scoop up some cash on girls that would not normally compete. What I didn't take into account is that, you know, these girls, they see these bikini girls that are the lowest rung of the bodybuilding ladder from a muscular standpoint, and they're like, I can't get there, and so I'm not going to try. And yes, bodybuilding is to an extent, it's, you know, an extreme sport, and you should, but it's also I don't know, my opinion's kind of changed. It is a stepping stone. It is an entry point into bodybuilding that did not exist for those girls before.
Right.
My only problem with it is, can you guess?
The posing?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's that they give a pro card the first year.
Yeah.
It's that, so, you know, whatever the first pro, IFBB pro fit model was, who probably a month ago, I guess, got her pro card.
Yeah, something a month
She didn't have anybody to go up against. So when she went to get her pro card, there was two girls that had,
Yeah.
and
Well, now here's what's good. She's got her pro card.
Yeah.
And she's gonna have to work. She's gonna have to put in the work to be to compete against the other girls that are gonna win their pro cards.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Now that the more girls are coming out and competing in it, and the look is more filled out than what it was in the first. That from what we saw in the first show, you seen girls come and win with a very well filled out frame. Like that's kind of how I want to describe it. They filled out their frame with some muscle to give it shape, and it looks good. Like I've seen that now. I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying this look. The first group of girls that were competing in it, um, it just was so small, and I was like, oh, you know,
Yeah. So, and I guess the thing about that is when you look at, because the men's version is coming, it's going to come. Trust me.
yeah.
So when you look at, does that push? I guess that's my biggest question: is does it push the goalpost further?
Yeah, that is another concern because the girls, like I said, the girls that come out later will have more filled out frames. They're going to get awarded for that. And then are they going to get more awarded for having a more filled out frame and being leaner? And then they're going to get bigger and leaner and
Yeah,
bigger and
and now
leaner.
that
Where
makes bikini
now
bigger.
fit models bikini is figure, which is where we're at now. Like
Right.
I'm
Well, figure is bikini is the old figure.
yeah, I am
Yeah.
from 2013.
Right.
I would fit in the figure category.
Yeah.
And
Like if you
with
look
bigger-
at early Ashley Kaltwasser, she was fit model.
Yeah.
You know, if you look at early Mark Anthony, who was the first men's physique Mr. Olympia, go back and look at his pictures.
He wouldn't stand a chance at.
No, and that's not a slam on Mark
No,
because
his physique was phenomenal. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was just it was not the division
so
has
huge now.
right. The division has morphed into, when you look at
they're bodybuilders.
when you look at Ryan Terry, if you put a Ryan Terry 2024 versus a Mark Anthony 2017, 16, I can't remember what year that was, but if you put those two together, it's not even comparable, and so the division has morphed into such that these guys are huge. They had to put a weight limit on them, last year, year before, just so that they would not look like open guys or classic guys.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where if I had a concern, it would be that, is that where fit model pushes bikini is into, women's bodybuilding honestly is becoming almost relegated to the dark ages just because.
Yeah, because it's getting so
it's
big.
So like you have figure and physique that have gotten so big that now like you really have to be a mutant to be in women's open bodybuilding, and so it's pushed. And so I guess that's my fear for your division is, where does it push it?
Yeah.
Where do you guys end up? Where do you ladies end up?
Right.
So, but Tyler Mannion has done a fantastic job running the IFBB. I feel like, and it is a business, and that's just the way that it is. It's a business first. It is. You have to treat it as such.
Yeah, I did kind of think it was funny when the Fit Model first came out, and everyone was like, "It's a money grab," and I'm like, even if all it was a money grab, isn't that the point of running a business is to make money?
Right. You just and I mean, it's.
I don't think anyone's like the next when a new updated iPhone comes out, anyone's going to money grab.
No. But what I will say is, and I have yet to be, Fit Model came out just this year. We have not been to a show, and we have not been in shows yet where Fit Model was part of the lineup.
Correct. Well,
so how some of these shows, when I did North Americans last year, North Americans ended at like 12:30 in the morning, because there were so many competitors. Even the local shows, some of them end at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because they're so long. So if you have another division with just as many girls, in it. How long is, and the good thing is you can't cross over. You can't do fit model, bikini, wellness. You have to pick one.
Yeah.
And so these fit model girls can't do both. So that shortens it up some. But like, what time are we going home? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
What time do I get to get out of here?
Well, I think what's ended up
And eat.
happening, yeah, I think what's ended up happening is it's not extended the show time. I think what it's done is given girls who were competing in bikini but were struggling to put on that muscle a switch
An
to
avenue.
fit model.
An avenue.
Yeah, so
Good for
I
them.
don't really think it's pulled in some competitors they may not have had before.
Yeah.
But not so many to where it's making shows run longer.
Yeah. And as coaches, hey, that's that many more of a pool of people to help and encourage and coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, anything else for this episode or?
No, everyone got to see how lazy our dog is because he literally
sat here for 45 minutes. So, and he'll sit here. He would have sat here for another 45 if we would sit here that long.
Yeah.
So, appreciate you guys. Hopefully, this one, maybe the average length time went up to 90 seconds. Who knows? That'd be a win-win.
Maybe with your story about dropping a.
Yeah. I was trying to lure him in. It's like the bait.
The bait.
Yeah, the
Listen,
bait.
I'm going to talk about.
I'm going to talk about what an idiot I was when I was 17 years old. So, anyway, that's what it is. So, well, thanks again for joining us on another episode of Just a Little TNA.
Just a little TNA.
Just a little TNA. So, and G, this guy. So, all right, y'all be good. Be good at it. See you.
Bye.
Bye.